One of history's most unexpected yet totally satisfying musical collaborations is the bonding of Primus frontman Les Claypool and Sean Lennon, the talented offspring of one of rock music's most legendary songwriters. Watch this video to the end to learn the full history of the Claypool Lennon Delirium.
And not very many interesting things happened to Sean Lennon during his childhood. I just want to point that out right now.
One of the most shocking and tragic losses in all of music history is the loss of Sean Ono Lennon's father, John, when Sean was only 5 years old. He was born on John Lennon's 35th birthday on October 9th of 1975, and was the pride and joy of his Beatle father and avant-garde mother, Yoko Ono. Sean obviously had a very musical upbringing. He began private piano lessons at the age of 5 and made vocal appearances on his mother's albums. In his preteens, he picked up the guitar and other instruments and found that a much more freeing experience to be able to express himself with. He studied music in private schools, had his mind totally blown by accidentally walking into a Primus concert, wrote a song with Lenny Kravitz, and attended Columbia University, where he focused on anthropology until 1993 when he dropped out to focus on music. Then he was a major part and co-produced his mother's 1995 album, Rising. In '96, he became a studio and touring musician for the band Chibo Mato and began dating one of the singers, Yuka Honda. Yuka became a mentor to him, and he ended up joining the band, playing on their side project Butter 08 and their 1997 EP Super Relax. This led to a relationship with Beastie Boys label Grand Royal, which folded in 2001, but they took interest in Sean for his own merits in songwriting and not simply to capitalize on that expected Beatle son fame. Yuka produced Sean's debut album in 1998, Into the Sun, which showed listeners that Sean enjoyed creating progressive, psychedelic, and artistic songs that take you places. Of course, that's not what the music industry and media wanted from him, and Sean wasn't going to cave into the pressure of becoming a Beatlesque pop icon. He stepped away from the spotlight to do more collaborative and production work before finally releasing another studio album in 2006, Friendly Fire, which was accompanied by a film and is definitely more pop sounding, but still seems very genuine and passionate with themes of love and friendship. Sean started dating Charlotte Kemp Mule, and in 2008 they created a psychedelic folk pop band called The Ghost of a Saber Tooth Tiger, and released 2 albums and a few EPs under their own label, Chimera Music. They did some other projects, and Sean contributed to some movies, and if it's requested in the comments, I can deep dive this stuff a little bit more, but the important thing is that Ghost would go on to tour with a group that Sean admired, Primus. Leslie Edward Claypool is 12 years older than Sean Lennon, being born September 29, 1963 in Richmond, California, where he began playing bass guitar at the age of 14 and befriended a young guy named Kirk Hammett in high school. People like to laugh about a story in which Les Claypool was rejected in a tryout to join Metallica, but I think the truth is that he was just totally a different style, and he was inspired by the likes of Geddy Lee, Stanley Clarke, Larry Graham, and was also into absurdity and crazy psychedelia like Frank Zappa. In 1984, Les began his band Primate with a guitarist and just a drum machine. But give it 5 years, and the whole world would start recognizing that this crazy funk metal band Primus was something totally unique and new to the music scene. Largely due to Claypool's unconventional approach to the bass guitar, as well as his crazy storytelling and characters and voices and all that lovely good stuff. Of course, Primus became huge, and Les Claypool has way too many side stories and side projects for me to go into in this video. If you are enjoying this video so far, please give it a like, and if you want to see me talk more on this subject, comment in the thing down there. Their manager told Claypool to check out Sean Lennon's band, The Ghost of the Saber Tooth Tiger, and he enjoyed it and invited them along the tour to open for Primus and Dinosaur Jr. The two musicians quickly became friends and had impromptu backstage jam sessions where they instantly clicked together, especially when Sean sat in on the Primus song Southbound Pachyderm. Primus planned to take some time off after the tour, And Les had been thinking about getting a reunion with Oysterhead going, another band that I may decide to talk about. Hit subscribe, please. But he ended up inviting Sean Lennon to the studio to see what kind of weirdness they could come up with. They continued bonding over weird, nerdy stuff like science, sci-fi, 70s prog rock, 60s psychedelia, all that good stuff. And when they first started recording something, they decided to go in a late 60s era Pink Floyd psychedelic direction. But as the project went on, they involved other influences and didn't restrict where the songs were going to go. They both brought song ideas to the table, and on day one, Sean surprised Les by sitting down at the drums to start bringing ideas to Les's song ideas. Sean had also brought a Mellotron and other fun toys with him, so it was quickly decided that the two would split different musical instrument duties on the record, with Sean being the primary drummer as well as guitarist. They spent 6 weeks in the studio, and Monolith of Phobos by the Claypool Lennon Delirium was released the next year on June 3rd of 2016. The title refers to a large rock on one of the moons of Mars, and some comments that Buzz Aldrin had made about it in an interview. That's Buzz on the cover, and the title track is his new journey to Phobos, I guess.
Monolith of Phobos stares Buzz in the eye.
The band delivers out-of-this-world artistry, but lyrically these songs about colorful and satirical characters tap into some of the darker things in our own reality, like perversion, addictions, and other flaws of people who are stubborn in their ways. The psychedelic and spacey ideas on guitars, bass, and other unknown sounds are top-notch, reflecting feelings delivered by bands like Pink Floyd and Gong, while other parts tap into influences from progressive bands like King Crimson and mine and Claypool's favorite, Rush. There's still obviously a lot of Lennon and Primus feeling here as well. It's not overly Beatlesque, but Sean's voice with his melodic and psychedelic sensibilities will always remind me of his father at least a little bit. And Claypool's bass sound and voice are so distinctive that any well-educated music lover is going to be able to just detect who this duo is without even having heard of the band.
Not many people get to that point where they can have their own idiosyncratic relationship with the instrument, that you can recognize their character, within seconds of hearing it.
There are many times when the two vocalists are harmonizing with each other, often with one or the other in a character's voice, and I really like the combined sound of these two very different sounding men. I feel like this album is a great example of people just coming together over their creative love and putting out something into the world due to the fun and enjoyment of it and the tribute to their heroes, and it doesn't feel like there's any need for this project to be making any money, and that genuine side of it is what really draws me into this band, other than all the other wonderful things about it. They really push each other to let that freak flag fly, and I'm not sure if they were trying to make it a huge success, but it did pretty well for itself, making its way onto many Billboard charts and getting lots of good reviews. They hired Paolo Baldi of Cake as their touring drummer, and Money Mark of the Beastie Boys played keys at the beginning of the tour, but was later replaced. The tour brought in more fans than anticipated, and to keep fans engaged while showing tribute to their shared influences, the two decided to record some of the covers that they had been doing live throughout 2016. At shows, the group would occasionally do Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles, but that one was never recorded, likely because of how Sean wouldn't want to be known for doing his father's work and all of what's involved with covering a Beatles song. The EP, Lime and Limpid Green, was released in April of 2017 and includes 4 covers of songs from the 60s written by Pink Floyd, The Who, King Crimson, and Flower Traveling Band. Wait, don't tell me you've heard the first 3 bands but never listened to the one from Mama Yoko's homeland. If so, you're basically proving the point of my channel, which is to tell you to go listen to Flower Traveling Band. I have a mini documentary about them, so after you're done giving this video a like and watching it all the way through, go watch my documentary about Flower Traveling Band and give that one a like, and please subscribe while you're at it. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Generally, I have a pretty bad memory. but I can still remember the first time I heard this band, and I was shocked to see that these two were collaborating and which songs that they were choosing to cover, and I was so intrigued immediately, and I went and I listened to Monolith of Phobos maybe the next day or something. Then later that year, I would see Primus play with Mastodon, and I wasn't aware that Primus had a 2017 album called The Desaturating Seven, and I could tell the mood shift when the band began playing this conceptual masterpiece that I totally didn't expect, and I was mesmerized and totally fixated on Primus as they played their entire 2017 album. But after this time apart, the duo returned to Claypool's home studio for more intimate recordings fueled by Pinot Noir in 2018, where they were also joined by drummer Paolo Baldi for 3 of the songs. South of Reality was released on February 22nd of 2019 and feels like a slightly less jammy and more polished experience due to the two being out of their honeymoon phase, as Claypool would say. They had a better idea of how their progadelic band would function and allowed themselves to come up with riffs for the album over a longer span of time. They continued to satire factors of modern culture like online dating, cultists, and delusions, with the album ending with an upbeat song about how the earth will eventually shake us parasitic humans off of it like fleas on the back of a dog.
But then again, a giant spaceship may come down and save us all.
Maybe.
There are again lots of space references. A song about Jack Parsons was the lead single released in 2018 when the band announced the album, and the title track is about going to see an eclipse, but I guess never actually seeing it, as well as our reality shifting into something else or something. There's a fair amount of humor on these albums, and I need to mention that they just have great senses of humor, and they will make you laugh in between their songs when they play live or in an interview. Their previous keyboardist, Pete Drungle, wasn't able to join them for the next tour, so a Brazilian, who I can't really pronounce his name probably, joined them for the South of Reality tour in 2019, where Geddy Lee would make a surprise appearance at one of the shows. Since then, in my own experience, I remember being very excited for Primus to go on tour again and play the entirety of a Rush album, and I thought that was really intriguing, but 2020 ended up postponing that, and I never got to see it. In 2023, Claypool revived another one of his side projects, but this time around, his Frog Brigade was almost an entirely new lineup and featured none other but his good buddy Shiner on guitar, so they did old Frog Brigade material, Pink Floyd covers, and even some Delirium on tour. In February of 2024, Sean Lennon released Asterisms, a 3rd solo album that is some type of ambient and psychedelic instrumental jazz fusion. And for the last couple of years, we've heard a couple of times that a 3rd Delirium album is going to come to us sooner than later, and I was able to get some confirmation that it is actively being worked on, and so hopefully they will send an announcement because it's bound to be finishing up at this point. You can follow them on social media and buy their merch from their websites, starting with the ClaypoolLennonDelirium.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can support me by buying merch or finding that thanks button below, which 2 of you have done so far, and it surprised me and made me so overly happy and grateful and appreciative of you, I can't even find the words to express it. To the both of you and everyone who watches my videos and leaves comments, thank you so very much. You encourage me to work harder to bring compelling and interesting facts to you. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and have a happy listening session.
You got to know your chicken.